Welcome to the Thyroid Fixer podcast, where I'm all about helping you lose that stubborn weight that won't come off no matter what you do. Get off your couch at 2 p.m. and get through your day with energy and stop counting the hairs that come out of your head. I'm your host, Dr. Amy, and I'm here to help you get optimized with your thyroid and your hormones. It's all part of living our mantra: better thyroid, better hormones equals a better life. So let's get you back to being the badass human that you're meant to be. Let's approach it from a thyroid and hormone optimization standpoint. Between myself and my guests, you will be loaded down with information to take control of your health and get back to being you. So let's get started. Talking again about the importance of getting in your protein, but it's hard to do. I get it. So I bring you a solution: Paleo Valley beef sticks. Now, when we're talking about beef sticks or jerky, there's so much out there on the market, and a lot of them will claim that their beef is grass-fed just as long as it was fed grass at some point in its life. But really, the cows are fed grains, and they're just sprinkled in some grass-fed, marketed that way. And they can say that it's American-made as long as it's packaged in America. You don't want that. Paleo Valley grass-fed beef sticks are the real deal. They are sourced from 100% grass-fed and grass-finished cows, never fed grains or harmful antibiotics, and they come from small family-owned farms right here in the USA. And they're good. So you want to grab some of these, add them in throughout the day, a fantastic snack on the go. Go to paleovalley.com/thyroid, and that's going to save you 15% off. So PALEOVALLEY.com/thyroid, THYROID, and save 15%. Let's talk about aging and how to age better. Research suggests that a big contributor to poor aging is senescent cells, better known as zombie cells. They're old, worn-out cells that can linger in your body after their useful function, wasting your energy and nutritional resources on them. As we age, senescent cells often accumulate in our bodies, contributing to sluggish energy, less flexibility, slower workout recovery, or simply put, the middle-aged feeling. But in the last 10 years, research has come out that has identified plant-derived ingredients, which can actually help our bodies naturally eliminate these zombie senescent cells. These ingredients are called senolytics. The easiest way to get complete senolytic support is a formula I love called Qualia Senolytic. It's almost like a monthly cleanse for aging. You take Qualia Senolytic just 2 days a month, and it's loaded with science-backed vegan senolytic ingredients that help your body naturally eliminate the zombie cells. It can literally help your body feel 10 years younger in just a couple months. I've been doing it the last few months, and I'm just happy that I'm doing it. I know I'm doing a good thing for my body. So you want to go to neurohacker.com/thyroid to try senolytic with a 100-day money-back guarantee. You can't beat that. And the code thyroid will also get you 15% off your first order. So that's neurohacker.com, neurohacker.com/thyroid, THYROID, for Qualia Senolytic. And remember the code thyroid for 15% off to start aging better. Natalie Jill, I love having you back. Number one, because you're a friend. Number two, because you have such knowledge in the area of fat loss, and this is what my audience craves and what they need. I would say the majority of my listeners are battling with that weight gain as we age and inability to release the fat, or it just keeps coming on no matter what they're doing. They're trying all these different things.
Yeah.
And they are definitely deep in the struggle bus. So I'm so happy to have you back on today, because I really wanted to talk about what we're doing wrong for fat
Totally.
loss as we age, which kind of comes back to what I just said, all these women trying all these things.
So what I want your listeners to know is this is not going to be a podcast right now about self beat up or like all these things that you have to be doing and you got to stop doing these things. I want to make it easier for you because what I see is going on. And I've been 52 years around the planet. So a lot of you listening are older than me. That's great. You have more knowledge than me. But in my 52 years on the planet, what I have seen continually is information overload and confusion. And when we can break things down and make it a lot more simple, we get better results. So there's so much information overload. And you really, honestly, with every single topic out there and with the ad of the internet and social media, it gets even extra confusing. And especially when it comes to fat loss. And there's a lot of shame around it and a lot of blame and a lot of you're doing it wrong or you chose this and that's still wrong. Gosh, I see people getting shamed every which direction. I've seen people, they go down the Ozempic route, and we don't understand why they chose that. They've been obese their whole life and then they're getting shamed for that. So it's like, no matter what you choose, we're dealing with that. So I love that we're doing this topic because there's a lot that's happening wrong. And my goal for you is that you'll feel empowered at the end of this podcast, that you'll feel some freedom, that you'll feel some, okay, I can do this, some excitement around it versus this resolve of I'm just going to settle.
Oh my gosh, that's music to my ears and to the ladies' ears listening too, because that's what they want to hear. That's what they need to hear. They need someone with your level of expertise and compassion to come in and say, listen, it's okay. You don't have to beat yourself up. Don't let anybody else beat you up. That's just beautiful. And here's the thing. You had mentioned your age. If you guys can't see her, you need to go look her up. And if you have been living in a box somewhere and don't know who Natalie Jill is, go follow her on Instagram. Go look her up. She is gorgeous. Your jaw's going to drop on the floor when you see her and go, how in the hell is she age 52? But it's because she's been living the lifestyle and she's figured it out. She's worked through, I mean, you were overweight at once. You battled a boatload of injuries and worked through them. I mean, it's not like you were just born skinny and have always been skinny and never had a weight problem and never had any issues, but you're here to tell other women how to do it. That's not the case.
No. And in fact, I want to share that I've had every single objection that you're going to come up with in your mind as you're maybe listening or when you're scrolling social and you see somebody else and you get the trigger. And I just want to just give you a little kind of a background. So if you were to Google me, you would see me on the cover of fitness magazines and best-selling author of books and whatever, because that's great, but that's not truly fully who I am. Because woman to woman, I want to tell you, like that was a result of a lot of overcoming and a lot of obstacle fighting and a lot of embracing opportunity versus obstacle. So just a little backstory. And I know we've shared before, so if this is your second time listening, you might have heard a little bit about the story, but just a backstory. When I was 35 years old and I had just had my daughter, I was in a massive spiral with my life. Some of you are there now, where not only had I just gained weight from being pregnant, granted, I built a human. I get it. That happens. I gained 60 pounds on my 5'2" frame, but I was also going through a divorce at the time. I was losing my home. It was back in 2007 when the whole housing market had collapsed. I was going through a divorce, losing my home. I had a full-time job that I had to take a voluntary demotion because I was going to be a now single mom. So I had like a whole lot of stuff happening in my world. Couple that with the hormones, the postpartum, all that. I was in a full depression. And I say that not because you're in that exact situation now, but I know what that's like. And I know what it's like to operate from circumstance and to be really stuck in the circumstance, all the reasons why we can't change something. And it was in that rock bottom space that I had this aha moment. And it was just a moment. And I'm hoping you have a moment right now, if that's you, because I had this 4 month of a spiral and I just had a moment that was a glimmer of possibility that I could create something else for myself. And I really jumped full into creating that momentum of something else, another possibility. And I started operating as a different person. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, when we can visualize or even think for a moment about a future version of ourselves that we want, something else, a different possibility. If you can think through what that future version of yourself would be doing, like what would they be hanging around? What would they be doing with their time? What would they be eating? What would they be listening to? If you can start operating from that place, you can literally become that version of yourself. Now, that might sound a little out there, woo-woo, just because if this is your first time hearing that kind of concept, but this is the truth of what set me in a trajectory to change not just myself, but others, and to heal myself many times later. So that was kind of the start of a learning a different way. Now I fast forward this, and years later, I've created all kinds of fitness and fat loss and nutrition programs for women. I've helped men too, but mostly for women. But as I've aged, new hurdles have come up, as many of you deal with. All of a sudden I was getting injured more. All of a sudden I was having the hormone shifts and the hot flashes. All of a sudden I was having a blood sugar dysregulation. I started having like different things come up and more injuries and things like that. And I started back in a spiral of like, what's going on? What are these things that are happening wrong? All of these things. And when I started falling down this obstacle tunnel, which is what we do, like circumstance, I'm in an obstacle tunnel. I had a wake up call with myself to what was that thing that you did before? What was the thing that you've taught so many women? What is that process? And I tried it again on myself, and it literally changed my life again. So this has happened numerous times. It works, but it definitely 1,000% starts with the belief that you can and that something is possible.
You have to believe that. I've seen that in my practice, even just dealing with thyroid and hormones, that if someone comes in and they say, I'm so sick, I'm such a tough case, no one can ever help me, I will never get better. I say to them, you know what? You're actually right. Because if you continue to tell yourself that, you will perpetuate that reality into your life. And just by changing your words and your beliefs, it's amazing the power of our mind.
It's so true. And when people say like it's in your head, or that they don't want to believe that, but it's, I'm not saying everything is in your head. Like facts are facts, like diagnoses are diagnoses, labs are labs. Like there are things that are real, but it's our belief around them and our decisions around them that change everything for us. Look, I see numerous conversations. I hear them, I see them. I've had them on my podcast of people with horrendous conditions, like a horrendous diagnosis, a doomsday thing or whatever. And I'll see both sides. I see people that fall down this, woe is me, it's over, and I'm going down this path. Or I see that people that have a belief set that they're being healed, that things are changing. And that's not the only variable, but it's a very important variable. It's the canvas we want to build from. It's where we want to start from. I say to even people with like a scary diagnosis, and I'll take the extreme. Let's take cancer for a minute here. And I don't know, you and I are not to judge like what somebody chooses treatment wise, but I've seen both scenarios where someone chooses Western medicine or not Western medicine. It's their belief around what's happening that makes a difference for them. So they could be doing chemo and radiation and saying every drop of this is healing me. And they might have a different response than someone that's going, this is poisoning me. Same with the alternative. This is healing me versus, oh my gosh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. I should be doing Western. So much of it starts. I didn't say it's only that, but it starts with this belief set and this mindset.
Absolutely. And you mentioned you've done this to yourself or with yourself, taking yourself through a transformation multiple times, but you've also worked with, and this number is amazing, over 250,000 people that you've transformed. And I know some of them because they're my patients, and I've heard them report back to me about their success working with you and working with your programs.
Yeah.
So that number alone should say, you know what, you figured something out and you know what you're doing. So the advice that you're going to hear today, people, is from over 250,000 successful transformations in addition to your own.
So what I'm going to share, and anything that I shared, whatever you asked me, because I don't even know what you're going to fully ask me yet, but I will say there's no right or wrong way when it comes to weight loss. So I just want to throw that out there first, because there's a lot of what I teach is coupled with that. So I've had people come through that are getting help from semaglutide and all that stuff too. But they still needed to change their mindset and learn healthy eating. I've also had people that are not doing that at all. Of course, most of my people are not doing that at all. That's not what they're doing, but they've really struggled following strict calorie counting or strict macro counting or whatever. So I kind of break the mold with that. We don't do calorie counting. We don't do macro counting. I don't do any kind of counting of anything, to be honest with you, because I don't like that method. It feels restrictive and it creates deprivation. I also don't label foods as bad. But what I do teach is a common sense approach. So let's start with, and I don't even know what you're going to ask me first, but I want to start with one of the big things people do wrong is labeling foods good and bad. Because foods are not good or bad. Foods can do different things in our bodies, but it's not good or bad. So there's a place for every food. Yes, even the junk food that if it gives you pleasure and joy and you're using it on occasion for something, but nothing's good or bad. So we have to break up with those labels now, but there is definitely 100% ideal foods, like ideal foods that are healing you, that are helping you, that are empowering you, that are giving you focus, that are giving clarity, that are helping to grow muscle. I want to focus on so much of the good that we make less room for the not so amazing.
Okay. I love that. Well, that's right in line with what I was going to ask you. I want to know what you see women, especially, doing wrong to lose the fat. Now, in your case, release the fat. And that's how I know my patients are in your program, because they say
release.
Right back to me. They're like, I have released 20 pounds of fat. I'm like, you're in Natalie's program.
Yeah, because we don't want to find it again.
Because you don't want to find it again. I love that. So what are women doing wrong?
So let's start with the first thing. Stop counting calories, because all calories are not created equal. I don't care about what the influencer on social media told you. They're not created equal. 100 calories of M&Ms is not the same as 100 calories of broccoli or chicken, or it's just not the same. So calories hold different values. So yes, if I just strictly put you on a calorie deficit diet, you will lose some weight, but you will find it again. So you might lose. And I don't know if it's fat. I don't know if it's muscle. I don't know if it's water. It's a combination of, and you're not going to feel amazing from it, because we're creating a different response with our blood sugar. We're creating a different response with our cortisol. We're creating a different response with our focus. Also, it requires more energy for certain foods for you to digest them versus others. So there's a lot of variables going on with food. So calories are just not created equal. That's not true. Eating 100 calories of sugar is very different in your body than eating 100 calories of protein. So very different things. So number one, we've got to stop counting calories. The other big reason we have to stop counting calories is they lie to us. Let me explain. Most of us grossly underestimated how much we eat, and we overestimate how much we're burning. No, your treadmill or your elliptical is not telling you the truth. It is not accurate. There's no possible way for it to be completely accurate. Also, when you pick up a piece of food, I pick up an apple. How many calories is in my small apple? I don't know. How ripe is it? How big is it? What kind of, there's too many variables there when it comes to calorie counting, and it sets us up for failure. So number one, I call BS on the count calories.
Okay. So I hear you. I agree with you, because I have always said, I've used a very similar analogy. I can give you 1,200 calories of Oreos and Teddy Grahams.
Yep.
Or 2,500 calories of chicken and broccoli and grass-fed meat and a sweet potato, and you're going to gain weight on the 1,000 calories of crap, and you're probably going to lose weight on the higher caloric intake, but of good food, because of what it does in your body. But let me ask you this. Is there a point that we can overdo the healthy stuff? Like, what if someone is taking, let's say, 3,000 calories of all this good stuff?
Yeah. So you can overdo anything. Anything that we don't use in our body is going to get stored as fat or create toxicity. And I mean, you can absolutely overdo anything. Heck, you can overdo water. You can overdo anything. So what you want to look at is, we do need to look at portions, but it's calorie counting. So I teach portion methods. So, and also getting your body to a state where it recognizes and uses clean food, and it knows when something's not ideal for it. So let me give you, and I might have done this before. So I apologize if you've heard me talk about this before, but it's an important point to drive home. If you walk by a very dirty body of water, and it's picture like a dirty, mucky body in it and yuck, and you're like, oh, this is gross, and you throw another piece of trash in it, you honestly don't know what made the water dirty. It's you can't tell, was it this piece of trash or all the trash, or how, you don't know what's creating the problem. However, if you walk by this beautiful, clean, gorgeous body of water and you throw one piece of trash in there, it sticks out like a sore thumb. You know exactly what's making it ugly or making it not too well. Well, it's the same thing with our bodies. When we're eating a highly processed food diet and we're not eating natural and well, and in a way that enhances our gut health and our body and our fat stores and all of the things and our muscle development, when we are eating super clean like that, we know exactly why when we ate the Oreo, we didn't feel good. Like we can say, okay, I'm foggy headed because of what I ate yesterday. Like that's where I want you. That's why I say foods are not labeled bad or good, but you want to know, look, we're all human. There's definitely times where I'm like, oh, you know what? I just feel like I want gluten-free pizza. I want Reese's peanut butter cup, whatever. I'm eating the junk. Yep. And then I don't feel so great the next day. But you know what? I know it's not my hormones and whatever, my aging. It's because of what I just did and what I ate and my blood sugar and all of that. So I want you empowered. I want you to understand you can have any foods you want, but I want you in a place where you know exactly what it's doing to your body.
Yes, 100%. Totally agree. And that's why I even disagree with the fad diets of these are free foods, or even if you're on carnivore, eat as much meat as you possibly want. Well, there is a point at which you can overdo it, and now you're not finding balance. So
the other thing that I've really, really learned and drive home lately, there's two supplements I'm a big, huge fan of. And I know you have actually one of them. You are the sugar one, the berberine. So there's two supplements. I mean, I like supplements. I do not believe you can get everything from food. I used to think that. It's not true. Right. We have soil depletion. Our gut health is screwed up. There's a lot of things we need. But there's two things that I honestly swear by, because it's not just what we eat. It's how we use what we eat and how fast we process it. So for instance, if you eat food and you're only pooping every 3 days, we got a problem. Like, where do you think all that waste is going? Like, it's wreaking havoc on your system. So yeah, I just talked about poop, but I'm going to do it anyway.
We always talk about poop on here. It's fine. Yeah.
You need to eat, you get the nutrients you want, and it needs to leave your body, period. So number one, I add digestive enzymes. I don't know. Do you, Dr. Amy, use digestive enzymes?
I do. Okay. I love them.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Huge fan. I have digestive enzymes at every meal because it's not what you eat, it's what you digest. Like, this is super important to get. The other thing is, your body, all of our bodies, as we age, things change, especially our blood sugar regulation. Like, our blood sugars start to slowly creep up. You see that A1C on your lab report. That's your average blood sugar over a 3-month period. Also, your blood sugar affects your cortisol, your stress, your belly fat, all of that. So we need to be eating low glycemic and watching that for that reason. And we need to be adding in berberine, which I know that's one of the products that you sell, Amy. I don't know, was it called Sugar Fixer? What is your
blood sugar fixer? Yeah.
Blood sugar fixer. Yeah, because it's like natural metformin. It's like going to help your body process and regulate. So if I'm having a high starchy meal, I'm making sure to have berberine with my meals there.
Did you know that there's actually a way to increase your basal metabolic rate? That is the amount of fat that you are burning literally just sitting here. So many of you are suffering with a very slow metabolism. You're doing all of the things to lose weight and nothing is happening, or worse yet, the scale is going up. Well, with the addition of Thyroid Fixer that contains T2 and L-tyrosine and Coleus for Scoli, all of which benefit the thyroid, all of which boost metabolism, all of which have been proven to increase fat burning, there's your answer. Add in Thyroid Fixer and you're getting an array of quality. I promise you, I've been studying this for 15 years. I bring nothing but the best to you. Quality ingredients, 3,5-diodo-L-thyrine, which is T2. I have multiple podcasts on that. You can go back and listen. L-tyrosine, which is required by the thyroid. It reduces stress. It helps the thyroid convert T4 to T3. Coleus for Scoli, that has been proven over and over again to increase fat burning. So you put that along with T2 that has its own human studies that show a decrease in body fat percent in just 28 days. Oh, and by the way, an improvement in your mitochondrial function, increasing ATP, which helps with your energy. Just add this in, whether you are hypothyroid or not. This helps everyone. Yes, I called it Thyroid Fixer, but it helps every single person out there with a slow metabolism. It does not affect your thyroid function. It has no cardiovascular effects, is totally safe. Let this rock your world.
So it's not just what you eat and how you think about the food you're eating, but it's also, are you actually digesting and processing it correctly?
Okay. So another mistake that some women could be making is simply just not being mindful of how they're eating, rushing through their meals, grabbing food on the go, not taking digestive enzymes. And that food is not even being
That's
broken
right.
down and utilized.
Yeah. So think about it. So I hear women, and Amy, Dr. Amy, you do it too. I've heard you, and like I'm guilt. I say it too. Like we're like, oh, you want to eat close to your body weight in grams of protein, right? Have you said that? Okay.
Right.
Okay. So I've stopped saying it as much because I'm is digesting and processing their protein. So yes, if you are taking digestive enzymes and your gut health is in working order, that's amazing. But if you're eating all this protein and wondering why you're so tired, your body doesn't know what the heck to do with it. You're not digesting and processing it all.
Right.
So that's a big thing that's a newer thing for me to be talking about, but it's extremely important. So I actually don't think I eat my body weight in grams of protein. I'm not far, but I'm not. I mean, I say on average, I'm probably at about 80 grams a day. So which is not which is, I could be doing more, but I'm processing every drop of it, and it's helped me. I've gotten leaner because of it.
Right. And you have great muscle tone. So that's the biggest thing is if you're struggling with putting on muscle, maybe you want to hit more
Absolutely.
like 100, 120. But right, you're right in that when we have a woman, let's say a woman is 200 pounds, we don't want her eating 200 grams of protein.
No.
So what I always say is take your fighting weight. Like what weight do you ideally be or that you once were where you felt really good?
That's amazing.
Go with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And don't stuff yourself either. So if like you're so full after eating, you don't want to put that excess in. That's another thing we're doing wrong. There's no food that is like, oh, if I just eat all this, it's going to be my winner. That's why. And I got to say, I am not a fan of the extreme anything. So I know some people swear by carnivore and they love it. So more power to you if you love it. But I'm telling you, it's not the ideal for aging well. And it's not the ideal for your gut health because your gut is a terrain. It needs lots of different things, herbs, spices, vegetables. Like we need all of that for a proper functioning gut. So if you took out all the vegetables and fruit and you're like, I feel amazing. Well, that's because you're not you're not putting anything in to even know, but you should feel amazing with fruits and vegetables too if your gut's doing its job and it's working correctly. So to me, I'm like, let's look at the gut health before we go extreme and give it up. Now, if you want to give it up, awesome, more power to you. I'm not going to argue with people that want to go extreme like that. I don't believe that that's the key to aging well. I think we need our phytonutrients. I think it's super important.
Now, excuse me if I'm putting actually words in your mouth, but I think you'll agree with this. And it kind of ties into the last two issues that we're talking about that women are doing. You mentioned it earlier, the GLPs. So tying that into gut health and how you assimilate your food, this is one of the big, I would put it up there as a huge mistake and something people are doing wrong for fat loss, because number one, it was made for type 2 diabetics.
Correct.
It was made for people that have like 50 to 100 pounds to lose and they cannot get control of their blood sugar and insulin and A1C. And for that, it is fantastic. It's a miracle. I'm super happy we have that option for people, but it wasn't made for people that need to lose 10, 20, maybe even 30 pounds. We're seeing women do this as, quick relief. I get it. We all want to lose weight yesterday, but it's destroying the gut. I just spoke to.
It absolutely is. And it's slowing down your digestion big time. So talk about not processing your foods correct. So here's my opinion. This is my opinion on it. Not my, this is not my expertise, but this is I have a lot of opinions. Number one, I think it's a massive breakthrough for obesity.
Yes.
For obesity.
Yes.
Because there are people that really freaking struggle with obesity, and this is life-changing for them. And yes, there are risks with it. No question. No question. But you have a greater risk being obese like this. Right. So for that, it's life-changing. Okay. For the people that have 10 to 15 pounds to lose, I don't even know what to say about that, because I think that we're messing with our health. I think it's dangerous. I think you're slowing your gastric. Did you know you can't have surgery while you're on it, by the way? They won't put you under anesthesia while you're on it.
Because it slows the rate at which you clear it. Yep.
Yes. So there's a lot of concerns that I have there. Now, is this like the trendy thing? Yes. I have friends that are doing it and they swear by it. I don't align with that. No, I'm not in their shoes. I'm not their exact situation. I don't like it. I'm not doing it for me personally. I don't have an interest. However, I do want to learn more about where people are talking about microdosing it. I'm just curious. I'd like to learn, like, what are these uses for it? So I'm always learning and listening to that. But what I don't love is the shame around the people that are obese that are doing it, and that this has been life-changing. And I feel sad for them that they get shamed and told, like, because they were lazy or whatever else, because I really do believe this is changing. And I also think they need our help more than ever, because if you're in the wellness space and you have information about nutrition or fitness or how to change those people still need those tools. So like, this is an opportunity, not a shame opportunity.
Right.
This is like, let's help them, because just because they are losing it rapidly, they need to understand how to eat correctly and to keep this, make it a lifestyle. So there's a lot of there to be filled in that gap.
Oh yeah, no, and I agree. It has really good properties to it. The microdosing is beneficial for those who hit a wall. So I'll use it with patients that they just can't, nothing we're doing thyroid hormone wise, nothing is helping. But I do think that it is misused when you could still release the fat if we implemented the things that you implement with your people.
You're messing with your insulin. You're messing with your gut health. You're messing with your digestion. Like there's a lot of, there's a pendulum.
Yeah.
So it's got to swing back.
Lose muscle. You want to talk about losing and not being able to find it again. Like you lose the muscle and good luck finding it. That's what you want to find and bring it back. But
so I'm not a fan for those reasons, but I really do believe that it's been life-changing. I have somebody close to me in my family, in my world, that I watched it change her in such a positive way.
Yes.
So I can't fault her for that. Like I watched her eating amazing. I watched her working out, doing all the things. And this is the thing that needed to change for her. And she released all the weight. It looks amazing.
Yes.
So she's aware of the risks. And she was also approaching type 2 diabetes. So I get all that.
Yep. Very, very beneficial for that. Okay. I'll let you keep going. Give me another big mistake that women as we age are making.
So another big, and this is going to sound so simple, but I'm going to say it anyway. So most of us are working out and eating well as we hate our bodies. Oh, I have to go to the gym. I hate how I look. I feel fat. I feel this. I feel that. We are creating more of that. That is not the canvas to work from. So do you remember that movie with Amy Schumer, I Feel Pretty? Did you ever see that, Dr. Amy?
No, now I'm going to.
Oh my gosh, you have to watch it. Okay, anyone listening, you have to watch this movie. It's a chick flick. It's with Amy Schumer. It's called I Feel Pretty. I love this movie. And the reason why is just in a nutshell, what happens is she's just like this average, a little chunky woman. And she's in a spin class. She's in SoulCycle. And she's feeling really bad about herself. Like she's doing that. Like, you could tell she's just feeling miserable. She's going to work out. She doesn't want to work out. Anyway, she falls and bumps her head in the class. And it's meant to be funny, not serious. Like she bumps her head and she wakes up and somehow she gets like a weird kind of amnesia. She thinks she's a supermodel. So she looks in the mirror and she's like, oh my God, I am a flippin' supermodel. Like she thinks she is the hottest thing since sliced bread. And everyone around her is like, okay, you're a cuckoo. Like, cause she's like, oh my God, it's so hard being so beautiful like me. Like she just literally goes into this whole thing. But the crazy thing is her entire life changes. Like her entire life changes because she is operating as a supermodel now. Nobody else sees her as a supermodel, but she sees herself as this. So it's a really powerful psychological movie because it really shows you become what you operate as. You become what you operate as. So I love that movie because it really is an overriding lesson I teach in fat loss is that what's the canvas that we want to paint first? So we always tend to, I say we, because this is like most people, 99% of people, they literally operate from their circumstance. This is my situation now. I feel overweight. I feel broke. I feel tired. I feel foggy headed. I don't like my life. Blah, 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 blah. They operate from there thinking somehow they're going to achieve this other thing. Okay. That is ridiculous. That will never happen. You can't just operate like that and think by luck, somehow you're going to become this other version of yourself. If you look at successful people in anything, not just weight loss, fat loss, anything, you look at successful people in anything, they are operating as the future version of themselves. So what does that mean in fat loss? Well, you got to go, what is it that I actually want for myself? What's my decision? What do I want if anything was possible? And then what's that future vision of myself? Like, what is that person, that vision that if I was that, and then how does that person take actions? What does that person do? If we can operate from that canvas, we get different results.
I love that. I think that movie should be a must watch for
so
every
it's single.
Well, I was going to say every single woman, but every single person, because that can even extend into, your business mindset and success mindset. But for the purpose of this talk, that is powerful. Like that really, that resonated with me. I was thinking,
so think about all of you, every single one of you, at some point in your life, you've experienced PMS and also ovulating. Okay. So if you're not on synthetic birth control pills.
Right.
And if you don't know what I'm about to talk about, then we got some bigger work to do with you, get everything like regulated there. But Dr. Amy, like, don't you feel like a different person? Like you look at yourself differently when you're PMSing versus when you're ovulating?
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm like, I look really freaking cute today versus like, oh, I look disgusting. Right.
I'm bloated. I'm
But we looked
fat.
exactly the same to everybody else. Like we literally looked at, and what changed between 3 days or whatever. I'm just saying that is a real example of what you believe. So we have to train our brains to operate as the version of ourselves that we want. So I'll give you like a real example with me. I used to hate my arms. I just hated my arms. I was born, if I showed you a baby picture of me, we should find one to edit it in here because I look like the Michelin baby. I had like 9 rolls of chub on my arms. So I was like born with these chubby arms. And for whatever reason, I just always hated my arms. I'm always like, oh, I would look at these like defined, amazing arms and be like, oh, I can't get that. I have fat, chubby arms. Okay.
Right.
I tore my bicep at one point. And I have a big scar from it when I tore my bicep and I could not use my arm for 6 months. I walked around like this for 6 months. And it was a really big wake up call for me of, wow, I've been hating my arms for my whole freaking life. And instead of appreciating what my arms do for me, like, because 6 months not being able to use it, I'm like, I have a lot of appreciation for my arms. So in that moment was like, I love my arms. I love what my arms do for me. And I just want to tell you, like, I've changed nothing other than that belief. And I'm sure my actions changed with that belief, but I like my arms now. Actually, I love my arms. They're defined. I see muscle tone. I never look at my arms as they're fat and gross anymore, but that's what I used to do. It was all a mind thing, but I had to shift to what I want, what I believe, what I love about that whole piece, and then start lifting my weights, doing things from there. And I wear tank tops now. I don't think about my arms, but I just cover them up all the time. So this is just might be a nutty example to you, but where are you doing that on your body? Are you doing that with your stomach? Are you doing that with your neck? Where are we doing that? What we tell our bodies that what we hate, and then we go try to work out and we're like, I hate working out because I hate this. Like that's not helping you.
I do it. I'm guilty as well. I am totally guilty as well. So yeah.
So I giggle now when people say, oh, I love your arms. They're muscular. Like I'm like, if they only knew, like, that's like this battle that I had. So I want women to start looking at that gratitude. Now, some of you are like, okay, that's easy for you to say. I want you to know I did it from a place of when I didn't like things or didn't have things, or gosh, a year and a half ago, I stopped my whole fat loss business for a while because I was having my own health crisis. I was having a health crisis. I felt like a fraud. I felt like a fake. I didn't want to do anything anymore. I was like, my blood sugar was off the charts. I didn't know what was going on with me. I had to get to the root of it. And I did, but I didn't get to the root of it until I went to these places I'm talking about and said, no, it's not just aging. No, I am not going to just give into this. No, I'm going to decide I want something different. What's my vision? I had to do that work first.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. I love that. You were giving such, I mean, this interview just gives me chills. Like I'm picturing all the women listening, and literally what you're saying right now is starting to transform them inside. So let's do at least one, if not 2 more, if we have time.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Keep going. Here you go.
So, okay. Next thing, we talked a little bit about restrictive dieting, but I want you just to think back to basics for a minute. So I teach unprocessed natural real food. Now, what does that mean to you, or what does that mean to me? I'm not like nitpicky. Like if it comes in a bag, yes, technically it's processed, but if you can define the ingredients and it's basic, that's great. Like you want real food, common sense stuff. Is it common sense to eat food that you can't pronounce all the ingredients on it? No. Like, does that feel healthy or good to you? Heck no. Like if it does, then I don't even know what to say, because that's just not common sense. Like common to me, if it once grew, it's edible. If it once grew, it's edible. So like we think of it, and if it's in its most natural state. So when we simplify that and we don't confuse our system with all these processed junky things, like artificial sweeteners, artificial fats, like all this emulsifiers, all this stuff that we're adding in is messing with everything. It's not only just messing with our gut health, which we'll talk about that in a second. It's messing with our taste buds. It's messing with our cravings. If your gut health is not optimized, this is like a whole nother rant I can go down. But if your gut health is not optimized, and believe me, just because you look healthy doesn't mean it is. When I had my problem a year and a half ago, it was my gut health. It was a wreck. It was a complete wreck. When you don't have optimal gut health, and most people do not, you open the door for parasites, for bacteria growth that you shouldn't have there, for dysbiosis, for leaky gut, which means you eat foods that you think are going to the right places and they're leaking through your gut and getting in places they should not. When you do a food intolerance test and it says you're allergic to salmon or something random like that, and you're like, what? It's because it's bypassing your gut barrier. That's a problem. That's a massive problem. So when you are eating foods, you want to think, am I adding in good foods to nourish me, that heal me, that support my gut, that diversify my gut? Like, am I doing that? Or am I eating nonsense, processed junk that I'm making my body work harder to deal with? When you make your body work harder to deal with fake foods and weird foods and things like that, I just want you to think about this. Is just common sense. This is not Natalie's science lesson. Like, I'm just woman to woman. Like, let's talk common sense here.
Mm-hmm.
If your body has to work extra hard to process things it doesn't recognize, do you think it's really addressing the other things you want it to address, like your hormones and maybe a tumor that you're trying to grow? I'm just saying, like, where are you giving your body priority? So if you're making it work hard with the diet soda and the chips and the junk, it's not working on other things that you need it to work for.
Yes. Very true. Very true. Agree with all that.
So just a common sense approach to eating well. And then the next thing I'm going to just talk about is just workouts, because we didn't even talk about that, but this is an important thing too. So a lot of times as we get older, we're gaining weight, things are changing. We're like, oh, metabolism's slowing down. I'm losing muscle. I must work out harder. I got to work out harder. I got to do more cardio. More cardio. I got to work out harder. No, absolutely not. What we need to do is these two words, progression and intensity. We need to make sure, one, progression. Are you challenging yourself a little bit more each time? As simple as that. Are you challenging yourself a little more each time? If you're doing the same 3 sets of 12 with your 5 pounds that you've been doing for the last 30 years, and you're saying it's your metabolism, no, you haven't progressed.
Right.
You can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results.
Right.
So you got to progress your workout. You got to go whatever that means to you. And then the word intensity, I love the word intensity because that's also different for different people. So if I were to tell all of you to go work on a pull-up right now, okay, some of you could knock out 10, some of you can't do any. Okay, that's fine. But what does intense mean? Well, let's say that Dr. Amy can do 10 and you listening can do 0. And I tell Dr. Amy, you know what, Dr. Amy, I want you to go work on doing 15 and I want you to do your 10 faster. And I want you to do them with a hollow hold. Okay, that would be intense for her. Mm-hmm. That would be a challenge. Now, if you haven't done any and I say, go hold the bar as long as you can and work towards 1, just hang and work towards 1, that would be intense for you. Mm-hmm. Intensity is different for different people, but if we have to work out with intensity to change our bodies. We have to work out with intensity to change our bodies. Just going through the motions or doing the same things we always did will not change our bodies.
And nor will running harder on the treadmill for that 45 minutes to an hour, and then you get off and you go home. I mean, increasing your cardiovascular intensity is good. It's helpful. It's a stimulus, but I love the examples that you just gave because the cardio can burn our muscles. I mean, cardio is great.
Makes you hungrier too. I love cardio for mental clarity, for heart, for all of that.
Absolutely. But the people who only do
but just for fat loss, no.
That's the problem. Right.
Just for fat loss, it's not it.
Right. Exactly. So that's fantastic. Yeah. I love that. Oh my gosh, you've covered nutrition, you've covered mindset, you've covered workouts. I mean, there's a lot of things that you just gave women everywhere listening that they can change right now, but I know there's more to it. I know we have to go deeper, and we did a joint class together.
We've done 2. They're so fun. Have you guys have not been on our joint classes? Like we've done these twice before, but we're about to do another one. It's basically like this conversation, but we go a lot deeper and we interact with you. So like you jump on live with us. And so I teach it. Like if this resonated to you with you and you're like, okay, I want to hear more. I want to understand how to actually implement that process, especially that beginning stuff. We are doing another live class where we're going to go way deeper on this. I'm going to teach that process with Dr. Amy, and then we'll both be on answering all of your questions. And then, you can start trying on this method for you.
Amazing. I'm so happy we're doing this again because my people loved it. I got to tell you,
so fun.
I just actually received a text message from a patient. This was last week, and she went on about her releasing of fat.
I love it.
She lost either 20 or 25 pounds, released 20 or 25 pounds of fat. And she just said, oh my gosh, that just, getting my thyroid and hormones optimized and now doing Natalie's program, I feel the best I ever have in my life. I never even thought that I could get here, and I'm here. It's just been,
I love what she just said, that part. I never thought I could get here. And because that's the thing, we have to think we can get there. So
you changed her mindset. You allowed her to believe it. Yeah.
So it starts with this class is awesome, by the way. So if you come and do the class, it's totally free. You'll get so much from it. You'll leave that session feeling like empowered and with a plan. And it's also a way to try on and tease if you'll want to do Total Body Thrive, which is the one that a lot of Dr. Amy's clients have gone through. And that's the 8-week process. But we'll talk more about that on the class. It's not for everyone. It's for people that like what we teach on the class. They like that method and they want that next step.
Right. So we're getting together again, June 26th at 7 p.m. Eastern. And we have a register. We want you guys to register so we know who's coming, so we can, give you reminders and all that good stuff. You're going to go to fixyourweightloss.com/NJ for Natalie Jill. And we'll put that in the show notes as well. That way you can just click the link and you can register, and then we'll see you on the 26th. So that'll be awesome.
Wait.
Yes.
Thank you.
Amazing. Well, Natalie, thank you so much for coming on today. And like I said, the wisdom that you gave today has just been mind-blowing and will make changes right then and there for people. But I think they can go so much deeper and learn so much more. So I'm excited.
Thank you.